Hello, my lovely time travelers. Welcome back to the I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm still enjoying myself movie network. In today's episode, we're going to cover one of my favorite terrible movies with one of my favorite great actors, Under the Silver Lake, starring Andrew Garfield. And yes, he is one of my favorite actors. He was the best Spider-Man. I don't care what you say. Toby can fuck off. Also, just to give you a fair warning, this video may be a little bit longer than what I usually post. It's a pretty long movie, there's a lot to unpack here, so I want to make sure that I cover as much as I can. So just be prepared for that, break it up into chunks. If you can't sit here and watch the whole thing all at once, watch it in segments. And as another warning, this movie is filled to the brim with millennial culture, so we're going to keep a track of that with the tally right here. Here. Put the counter. So, before we get started, let me set the stage for you. Imagine you live in a world where you don't really know what's going on. You don't really know if anything around you is real. You don't know if anything's getting done. You don't know if you have a car. That's right. It's the world of Silver Lake. Buckle your seatbelt, time travelers. We're in for a real ride. Time for the chair. Ta-da! Told you. Was back there. Now I'm in my chair. Oh boy, let's get started. The beginning of this movie, pretty sex heavy, definitely got some passions flaring, and in order to appease the YouTube overlords, I'm not really going to show any of that, but just to give you a quick recap of what happens at the very beginning of the movie. You're introduced to the protagonist of the movie who is waiting in a coffee shop. He goes home and he sits out on his patio, sees his nudist neighbor on her balcony. He's got his little binoculars and he's spying on them. And then this pretty girl comes out to go for a swim, and so obviously he's got to look at her too. The nudist neighbor kind of yells, gets upset about the music because the music's too loud. Fast forward a little bit, a girl comes to the protagonist's house and they do lots of things all at once. It's impressive. I'm not quite sure how it works for them, but it does. So news is on in the background and they're talking about a billionaire, something Sevens. I don't remember what his first name is. The last name's Sevens though, and he's gone missing. So it shows the family on the TV, and that part is important. For the most part, this beginning intro part, there's not really much that's important to the plot line, but keep that in mind. The billionaire man, Mr. Sevens, he's gone missing. But now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and play this first scene here for you.
Do you know who writes that?
Yeah, local guy.
So let's take a look at this scene really quick, because I think there's a lot more here than you probably realize. So let's go ahead and cover that. So first of all, I want to point out, thank you, whoever wrote this movie, for the homage to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I appreciate that comic is there. Also, go ahead and add a point to the millennial counter, because we got our comic book culture, and millennials are all about collecting their comic books.
If I gave you like $5, would you pass my number on to him?
Okay, sure. But I don't need your $5.
I do have to say, this man behind the counter, the delivery of his lines, this is just on point, 10 out of 10 delivery. The main character offers him the $5 bill to pass his number along. He gets so upset about that. Like, no need to get so upset, man. I'm just trying to pay you for a favor. What, you don't want to go buy one Coke? And also, can we point out, it's like the very beginning of the movie. Nothing has happened yet, and they're already playing this super tense music. I know you're trying to set the scene here, but do we need this music this early? I love how he just walks up and starts petting the dog while he's sitting there taking a dump on the sidewalk. Like, that's totally the first thing that comes to my mind when I see a dog pooping on the sidewalk. Let me go up to him and start petting him. Come here, who's a good boy?
Oh, look at that, Coca-Cola.
Wait, what? This dog's name is Coca-Cola? Of all names that you could pick, you picked Coca-Cola? Was this like not quite inconspicuous ad placement? Or is this just a cringy dog name that she picked? Either way, for the cringy dog name, add another point to the millennial counter. Okay, so from there, he leaves the girl's house, super awkward, ends up having a crazy ass dream, and then waking up the next day. And we end up taking a trip back to the girl's apartment. You know, we gotta see what's going on with her. We gotta see if she still wants to talk, since it was such an uncomfortable way to leave for the evening. It's empty? What? The fuck is right? They couldn't even make sure that they cleaned up the apartment for the next tenant when they moved out? God, some people sometimes. So nothing strange about this, just breaking into that girl's old apartment. He probably wants to go clean up the mess that she left behind. I'm sure that's what it is. He is so thirsty. Okay, wait, but wouldn't she have noticed the window that was open? Yeah, see, the window opens out. No matter which way she's coming from, she's probably gonna see that the window is open when she goes to the front door, right? She didn't think that was weird. She didn't think it was maybe not a good idea to go back into the apartment if the window was open and you didn't leave it that way. Honestly, all the way up to this scene, including this scene, it feels like the protagonist in this movie might be the bad guy. He's been spying on this girl. He's been breaking into her apartment. This guy seems like he needs to get his life together. He ends up following her out of the apartment. She hops into a car. He ends up following them to some sort of sports stadium that ends up flashing the numbers 7, 5, and 1 on the scoreboard. Also, to my knowledge, I don't think they ever mentioned 7, 5, and 1 again. Maybe they do. I don't remember that ever being a thing, so I don't know what that plot point was about. They end up going to this park with some boat rentals. You get to see this glorious run. I get it. He's trying to be stealthy. He's trying to, make sure that they don't see him. But dude, you're in a public park with people around. Trying to be stealthy, probably gonna make you stand out more. So they rent a boat. So obviously he has to go rent a boat. He follows them in the boat, kind of looks vaguely like a pirate, ends up coming and picking up this bag and running off. At that point, they go back, so he's got to follow them back, and then they drop off their boats. Eventually, they're driving down the road again, and he's still following. It was daytime when he started following them. It's nighttime now. Has he been following them for hours? And they still haven't noticed? So first of all, he ends up going to this rooftop party at a place called Purgatory. Sits here and watches this girl doing a pretty generic basic dance, but she's got balloons on, so everybody's really excited. Also, this guy right here, he's having way too much fun dancing in his skinny jeans. Another point for the millennial counter. So he ends up stalking them a little bit more, this time hiding behind a beach ball. Probably gonna work. Ends up following one of the girls to the bathroom, gets kicked in the balls, and then a whole bunch of other girls come in. These girls start barking at him. So now we fast forward a little bit. He ends up going to the address of the comic book guy because they're going to meet up and talk about the comic. And let me say something about this comic book guy. He ends up somehow being creepier and more paranoid than the protagonist. I don't know how that's possible, but he does it. He has faces on his wall. Why would you put those faces on your wall?
What's with all the cameras? I'm trying to protect myself. Do you know how many people have died from the owl's kiss? I bought this from another collector 5 years ago.
Collecting a bunch of useless shit, such as cereal boxes, just because they're collector's edition? Let's go ahead and increment that counter. Real talk though, we as millennials tend to collect the most useless shit. Anyone remember the Super Mario Brothers cereal? Yeah, that was a thing. Collector's edition cereal. I know for sure I have multiple friends that still have unopened boxes of. Gotta collect that cereal though, man. Can we please just stop? So up to this point, I've been fairly convinced that the protagonist has some sort of mental illness. But then this guy shows up and feeds into those delusions and he just shrugs it off. And so it was at that point where I'm like, oh no, all of this stuff actually happening. Later on, they end up going to what appears to be some sort of goth nightclub that takes place in what used to be a church. Oh shit, they're giving out the album on vinyl. Another point. So after his adventures in the church, he ends up waking up in a graveyard. I guess he fell asleep there on his way home. Begins his day by going back home, hanging out with his hipster friend to play Super Mario Brothers on NES. 2 points. Without any notable transition, we move into a montage of him trying to crack the code of that album. How did playing chords on a guitar help him solve this? Counting letters and corresponding them to letters in another song, how did learning the chord progression on his guitar help him figure that out at all? The movie doesn't explain this. But either way, we've cracked the code, so it's time to run. Straight on into the next scene.
Rub Dean's head.
I saw you rubbing the statue's head.
So he went onto this park, he rubbed Dean's head, he stood under Newton, and now he's met the homeless king. And the homeless king is going to guide him to where he's looking to go. His words, not mine. So they walk this absurdly long way. There doesn't seem to be any real rhyme or reason to this series of scenes other than rambling on about coyotes and how you should follow them if you see one. So he ends up going back to the comic book guy's house. The police are there. So natural thing to do, wait for the police to leave and then break into the house. Oh shit. Alkiss lady is real? So before continuing on, we are 3/4 of the way into the movie. It is 75% done. And I still have no idea what the plot is. I mean, for real, how has this movie, which has dragged on for nearly 2 hours, pulled me in this much and I still don't know the plot? Like, that must be the trick right there. If I'm confused, I'm interested. But honestly, at this point, I'm just too invested. I need to know what happens. And I'm sure everything will get explained to me, right? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. So he sees this coyote rummaging through the trash out by the pool. And of course, he's got to follow the homeless king's advice and follow it because that's what you do when you see a coyote. You've got to make sure you follow it. So he follows this coyote and it ends up taking him all the way to this house where these people are mingling inside. There's clearly a party. They're just standing in front of these giant windows. And so the natural course of action when you show up to someone else's house party, you gotta crash the party. That's what do you think we're here for? We gotta crash this party. Me and this coyote gonna go inside. Oh, wait. Where'd he go? Oh, it's just me crashing the party? Oh, okay. So he walks in, he just slowly walks through the house, creepily staring at everybody, giving off major psychopath vibes. Like, honestly, if it weren't for the conversations going on in the background and the music, it would be really fucking creepy.
Hey.
Oh shit, it's his ex. This is gonna get awkward.
This is my fiance.
Oh boy, and there's the new man.
Hi.
I love how he just looks so confused when she tries to introduce him to him. And then there's the longest awkward pause I have ever heard in my life. And then he's just like,
Hi.
So then after that terrible awkward encounter, he goes and he meets up with the daughter of the billionaire. She just happens to be at this party and she's in the art room looking a little upset. So of course they've got to talk.
You know who I am?
Yeah. I was friends with one of the girls that was with your dad. She was a really nice person.
Oh.
Been trying to find out what happened to her.
Really? Do you know anything?
So after that enthralling conversation, looks like it's time to abandon this party and go for a walk by ourselves. So then they decide to go skinny dipping in this lake that has a fence all the way around it because nothing could go wrong there, right? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they start getting shot at. So naturally, the next course of action is to run all the way home butt naked. So now he's home, he's got the girl's bracelet, things are really starting to come together, he's gonna solve this riddle. I don't know what the riddle is, but he's gonna solve it. So cue that montage of another riddle being solved. So I have to say, as a diehard Legend of Zelda fan, it really hurts me on the inside to see him draw on that map. However, retro video game plot point, another point. So now we know that the map that was in the cereal box lines up with the Legend of Zelda map. So it's time for us to go on a little trip. I thought he was supposed to be going towards Mount Hollywood. Why is the sign behind him?
Hello? Can I help you?
Yeah. My friend Sarah was killed. These 3 girls know something about it.
All right. Please sit down. Have some tea.
Oh shit, it's time for some tea.
Found a shelter down there. In case of a nuclear war.
It's not a shelter.
So what is it?
A tomb. It's about ascension. We're not dying. Being transported to another world.
You know, I don't think I have any comments. No, why'd you drink the tea? You don't ever drink the tea that the cult gives you. You fool. Oh, yep. There we go. He fell asleep.
What happened to that man and those girls?
They're waking up right now in their ascension chamber. Do you know what you did wrong?
No.
Why do you have dog biscuits in your pocket? You can go now.
You're not gonna kill me.
I don't think so. We might. I'm not sure yet.
So, like, the homeless king makes a really big deal about finding dog biscuits in his pocket. Does he think he's the dog killer? Is he the dog killer? I'm so confused. But anyway, he goes home. He ends up sleeping with the neighbor. He watches the police evict him from his neighbor's patio. He watches them go into his apartment. And then it just ends. That's the end of the movie. There's nothing more. There's no more. It's gone. I don't understand. Like, I'm so lost. I've seen this movie 4 times, and I still don't know what happened. There's so many questions that I want to ask. Does this guy have mental health issues? Is he the one killing dogs? Does the homeless king ever come to kill him? Is the owl lady real, and what happened to her? I know she's lost in those underwear, and when he gets evicted, she's going to be thrown out with his stuff. Honestly, like, did anything in this movie actually happen? Did anything that we just watched actually occur, or was it all in his head? Is he in some mental institute somewhere? Like, your guess is as good as mine. I honestly don't know. If I'm frank about it, I really hate that I love this movie. It drew me in. It kept me interested the entire time I was watching it. Like, as much as I am trashing it because it is a bad movie, it's really engaging. Like, I enjoyed my time watching this movie thoroughly. Plus, look at that. We got 8 points on the millennial meter. Anyway, that was Under the Silver Lake. I had to cut a lot from this movie just because it's way too long. Obviously, I can't show the entire movie in a single video, but I 10 out of 10 recommend that you watch it. And I have to say too, it was really difficult picking which scenes to cut because a lot of the scenes didn't seem like they made sense. A lot of the scenes didn't seem like they were important. And I even cut out a lot of things that ended up being plot points that were connected to something else. They didn't actually connect to the overarching storyline. So yeah, I definitely recommend you go watch this movie. You're gonna enjoy yourself if nothing else. You might be frustrated at the end like I am right now, but you'll enjoy the ride at least. It's like when you go get on a roller coaster. You have a lot of fun, but then you're frustrated at the end because it was only 3 minutes long and you want to know where the rest of the ride is. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, I'm sorry about the length of the episode. I know it was a lot to digest, but I just really wanted to make sure to talk about this movie because despite how much I've talked trash about it, it is one of my favorite movies. Also, for anyone that's new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Click the notification bell so you can be notified when I post new content to my channel. Any anyone that does subscribe to my channel legally become a recognized time traveler, and the government allows you to travel back in time to watch me complain into a microphone. So you'll want to make sure to do that. Also, feel free to leave any comments that you have. I'm a fairly new channel here, so I'm always looking for new ideas, feedback, anything. Even if you just want to chat through the comments, I'm good with that too. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. Catch you next time.